And I think that's it, yeah? Is anyone else on? Sue's on.
Oh, you look like you've been to New Zealand.
Just a reminder, this meeting's been audio video recorded. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
So move.
A second?
Second.
Christie,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Howard, Caroline,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Jill's and I. And I'm gonna open up for public comment. And I'm gonna close public comment. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes, or do you want to wait till our next meeting?
I did.
You did?
Mhm.
All right, so can I get an approval on the minutes?
So
Again,
moved.
motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
On your motion, Christie,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Howard,
Yeah.
Liza,
Aye.
Caroline,
Aye.
Dawn,
Aye.
Jill's and I. Okay. So today we're gonna go through the spreadsheet, so y'all might wanna pull it up. I gotta pull mine up. And Sue, do you want to put the spreadsheet up actually
Sure.
on the computer?
Are we looking at Howard's or? Okay,
It's the one that I sent to everybody on Tuesday.
Yeah.
With the yellow highlighting?
Yeah.
Or the,
Yeah, it just shows the mean and the standard deviation and
Oh,
then the
okay.
things
All
that
right.
the things that came below.
yeah,
Okay.
So. Was that on Tuesday? She sent the latest one?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So today what we want to do really is, we can talk about any of the things that got through, didn't get through. We can talk about all of them if you want to. Historically, I think we mostly talk about the things that did not get through and see if we want to push something through, or if there was something that did get through and we're not, you know, we think maybe it can wait, or it's just not the right timing. Ooh, we can't see that too well, Sue. Be a little bit bigger.
Oh, Pete,
Can you all see that?
Actually, hang 1 minute, 'cause I gotta
Yeah.
move it to.
Sure. School and building improvements.
Pete can probably read it.
He probably already
Yeah.
memorized it. No, I don't. It's like the vision.
Eyes are
test.
still in my brain.
Your vision test.
My
memorized
first,
it.
I do have a first question for everybody, if anyone wants to comment, is how do you, and we don't need to go for a long discussion, because we can talk about it more later, but. Based on how things turned out in this, in the rankings, do you feel like the new ranking requirements were good, the new ranking system?
I would say there's a number of categories that seem too binary almost,
Okay, yeah, which we had before.
without, yeah, and I guess now that there's more categories in general, it just seems like a higher percentage of them are binary than used to be.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I just found myself a lot of time not really having much of a space in the middle to say like, to what extent is it meeting this criteria? Or
Yeah,
not? It was
you
either
feel
kind
like
of-
it's too black and
it
white.
100% is, or it wasn't at all.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to have those, the criteria that can have kind of a range.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and that was
Yeah.
what we were trying to change from the previous, because I thought there were too many binary in that as well, and this was sort of.
yeah, I don't know, I guess it's the interpretation of the categories themselves. I didn't feel as much about that the last time. There definitely were a couple that were always, yeah. But
Yeah, I find that there's a few times. Some of these apply to 10% of the requests. And it's otherwise, and I don't like that, because
Mhm.
it's,
Yeah.
it doesn't really. It's tricky to find those questions that sort of apply to everything, because they're so different. But they really should. I just don't like when it's just, when you're accommodating. Less than 10% of the requests for a particular item.
Can I build on what you just said?
Yeah,
As an example, we put in there, did they spend all the money last year?
Mhm.
And that's basically what he's speaking to, and I would just eliminate that one,
Mhm.
because we've been asking the question, but I don't think we need to score it.
Yeah, I agree. That was the one I would say we could take
that-
out.
yeah, I think that, I think to some extent. We may have gotten mixed up a little bit on. What do we put in for our grow raise and our rating system. And what do we ask in when we're with the department head? Sort of those, that should, if you're looking at less than 10% of a question applying to it, then it should come out in the interview, not in our Rories. This is not the place for it.
But in any case, I think.
But that's-
we should sit down.
We know that is such valuable information that we've
Yeah,
been
Well-
dealing with.
and I think it gets captured in, can the requested funds be spent in a prescribed timeline? Because we're asking them, like, do you have enough staff to manage this
I think the
project?
better question is the ask. A correct ask. Do we think that they're asking for too much? Or too, and
Yeah, is it the right
Isn't-
amount?
isn't that the better question?
But isn't there a different category that covers that?
I don't
mean,
know,
isn't
I
that
don't
is
remember.
the budget, is the budget appropriate
Yeah.
essentially?
Yeah, but I never
Yeah.
said for appropriate, I never thought about dollars when I thought about it.
I did too.
Appropriate.
I was like, is it just sort of, is it?
Appropriate was more, do they have a hard quote? Do they have an estimate? Are they just writing it on the back of an envelope? And that's the way that I thought
I
that that
think-
one was. It
So,
wasn't necessarily,
we
should
need
we
to
be
reword
spending
that.
$10 million on something that we feel like is $3 million thing, which is out of our.
Yeah.
Somewhat out of our, expertise.
So when you're just trying to guess if they can spend the money, I basically voted on historical sort of reference, like, have they been able to in the past?
Which only applies to recurring requests,
I can't
Yes.
really
you know?
answer a question that hasn't happened yet.
Could I
You know,
recommend that we
right.
just have a post, like a March meeting or whatever it is?
Yeah,
Just good walk through and all.
If you all felt like there.
Wanna say that again? What was that?
We need to sit down like we did last year
Yeah.
in March and
Yeah,
just go through each one and maybe reword a couple of them.
yeah.
So is it appropriate? Maybe it's appropriate for its purpose. Is it appropriate request of the dollars?
For the amount.
Yeah, while
we
it's
can-
fresh, while we've just been immersed in it.
Yep.
I just want to know if you all felt like the rank, what I asked is if what showed up on your spreadsheet.
Oh, if it
did you feel like it
reflects-
reflected our conversations and the meetings we had, like, were you surprised? Were you not surprised?
I want to,
bet there
No, I
were
went through it.
surprises.
It was.
I think that the thing that struck me was that I seemed to understand it was create redundancy overlap and the elective innovative enhancement ones. I took those to mean, I think, what maybe other people were thinking in the opposite direction. So as a result, I think I was trying to be consistent in my own rankings of all of them. But when I was giving something 100, I think other people were doing 0. So that obviously is going to affect.
Yeah.
I agree with that because I was having the same issue and it was like hard to frame what that category or what those categories meant. And like how you rank them on from 0 to 100. So I think that having a meeting in March would be great to maybe come up with exactly what each item or what each category means if it's not black and white when we read it.
Yeah.
So that next year we know where we're going all together
Yeah.
on the same page.
Yeah, and also hopefully we can get rid of one or two of these questions and just keep it down a little bit more. Like,
Was there discussions before this cycle of like kind of like a hover box over it? Like if you hold your mouse over it, it'll like give you a little bit of like
no, that's the idea.
detail about
Good
like
idea.
That's a great idea.
what it actually means, because obviously we don't want a paragraph for each one there all the time, but I don't know, that was talked about
Cheat
before.
sheet.
That's a great idea. I love
Yeah, I
that.
hope you would write that.
I would
Yeah,
love
we
to
can
help
write
you,
all
I'd love to
those.
edit whatever you put down.
Yeah,
Isn't that a smart answer?
yeah. Okay, so looking at the list that Sue has pulled up, is there anything in within the mean that people want to discuss? That you'd want to take out, move?
Oh.
The
Best I can do.
The only one I really want to discuss was the fertilizer, because he put in 500,000 for that. And I think we all sort of felt like it was a little bit much money. Did he really need that? Or could that be, was that gonna cover 2 years or 3 years? So that was my only, I'm just really making a comment. I'm not trying to move it, but I think that money could have come down a little bit. They didn't have a super defined plan, and
Where was that? Where did that one end up?
It's
So-
within the mean, it's kind of closer to the.
Oh,
the
yeah,
Third from the
bottom,
bottom
yep,
of the
that's
first
just-
line. And Sue, thank you so much for compiling all this and making it clear, what's what. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's not,
Oh, I mean, just generally speaking, can I just make a couple comments just on all the results and everything?
Uh-huh.
So above the mean, which essentially we're saying, all right, we're including that in the hopper, is about 56 million.
Yep.
So it's maybe roughly speaking, like 20% of the dollar volume.
well, two
all
were debt
requests?
exclusions, right?
I guess, yeah, sorry, I'm just going off of what's the column E in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So 56 million there. And then one standard deviation below the mean, which I guess are probably the most, the ones that we'll talk the most about, 9 million. So we have 9 million to figure out
Yep.
there. And then obviously there were some pretty significant, two large ones below standard deviation below at 186 million. So just kind of an interesting breakout there. And then I mean, I do like, and I feel like this happens every year, how tight the range is from, the most voted on, so to speak, or the highest ranking to the lowest ranking. I mean, we go from 68 to a low of 41. So I mean, I think that shows consistency within each of our own
Yep.
rankings, which
Yeah.
I think is the most important part of this process, that we're each individually being consistent in how we interpret the criteria from request to request to request, even if we don't agree with each
Yeah,
other's
it wasn't like a
interpretation.
10 and an 80 or.
Yeah, like we're not, changing our own interpretation from request to request, so it does show that there's not this wild swing, and we have some that are at 100 because everyone just wanted them, and some that are at 0 because nobody wanted them.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
just a couple kind of summary points before we dig in.
Yeah, I think that's really good analysis, Pete.
Mhm.
So anything above the mean anybody wants to talk about?
anything with bonds.
Plus, townwide ducts, harbor master building.
I do want to make a note on the hard stands because they
Yes,
should have been doing all the hard stand work.
yeah,
now.
why don't you tell everybody about that too, just.
Oh, so there's another hard stand that needs to be done, and if you don't do it, and you have the larger planes coming in at the airport, you begin to destroy what's there, and the amount of work and money required to build the third one is more because of the destruction, the deterioration of not having it, and also because of the economies of scale that are not being achieved because you're not doing them all at the same time. And they came to us only with the request for the two, but they should, well, the supplemental, but they should have come to us for all three. And it's too late to do that, I think, is what we found.
What was their reasoning for not including the third?
I think short-sightedness.
Yeah, they just didn't consider wanting to do.
So do we think they'll be back next year?
I know it's.
Yes, they will be because they have to. All of the planes that are being used, the Embraer Airs, are being replaced by either Airbus 320s or by
Yeah.
the Boeing 3, whatever it is, 7 something.
Yeah. It's too bad they can't bump that up and just,
Well,
it ranked pretty high.
I wonder how it could be changed. Do you know if the request could be?
I don't know how Brian and Sue would take that, this and Libby, if they would take it that late to add in more. Sue, do you know?
Madam Chair, I do not. I mean, certainly we can speak with town admin.
And they added in the warrant's been issued and all that.
The warrant doesn't have the article,
And the
sorry, the
dollar
dollar amounts in them yet. Dawn has her hand up, Jill.
Oh, sorry, Dawn, go ahead. I'm looking at my computer and not the screen. Go, you're muted. Stop.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It wasn't on that, but I wanted to try and talk a little bit about the fact that there are 4 pretty major projects that are basically not recommended.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt you? Can I just finish that conversation on that topic? I
On the
just
hard
wanted you
season.
to know that the number needs to be not 900. I think it would be a total of 1,000,005.
For the two or
Okay.
the three?
Jill, you're
To
working,
complete, to do all three.
To do all three. Got it.
you're working down, right? We're just going through the
I
top,
just wanted
just
to
to
add
I
that.
just
see if there's
in
anything.
the mean now,
Yeah.
because those are the ones that
So
usually we
we'll
don't
get the-
talk about
Yeah,
as
we'll get the,
much.
Sorry,
get-
Don, I just
Don's
wanted to
fine.
add that color.
Yeah.
It's not a huge
Yeah, no,
amount.
that's fine. But I was saying
We'll
I
definitely
don't
get
think
there.
we're quite
John-
there yet, but I did
John,
want to
do
talk
you-
about those.
Yeah, of course. No, we wanted to. I'm trying to not talk about the main personally, but if you guys want to talk about anything in that, it's fine. Don, do you know if the airport came back and said we want to get another $600,000?
That's the-
They did not.
If that's a possibility, if the commission put that forward?
I don't know how that works. Do they have enough money in retained earnings?
they
Yeah,
got Tons of money in
Then
retained.
probably, they
Okay.
could probably do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're also
There you go.
increasing user fees this year, so there'll be a whole lot more money coming in.
okay. All right, so.
Yeah,
that's-
I don't know the exact process, but I would think that it's feasible.
When I say user fees, I should tell you that private aviation are user fees.
Yeah.
And fuel prices.
Yeah. Okay. All right, is there anything else above the main? Where someone's like, do we really have to do it? I don't.
Let me see again. IT.
1 second.
Track and fields. Permitting. Truck. Trains. Soon. DBW, IT, generator. It's boats.
To your point, I think it came out correctly.
Which one's that?
All of them.
I mean. Yeah, let's see. If anybody has any. The chip or radios. Judge plan. Snowball. Future.
Yeah, I mean, the Tom Neversoft build fencing was just one thing I just didn't know. It said like bikes are gonna go on there if they go. But it's,
Yeah,
It's-
they're tearing up those fields now.
Same thing they're doing at the Delta Fields.
yeah.
Yeah, and then he actually went in for money for. Another like an infield at CPC, and then he's got the outfield, so he's doing 2 fences. Oh,
But in the scheme of things, the dollars for that, Christie, so don't move the needle.
Yeah.
yeah, it seemed kind of,
In terms of amount of what it costs.
Yeah,
yeah. They're doing work over there too, next door, like the Nobody Field, grass field's supposed to go in and some things are going on. I don't know, just probably not bad timing.
And I think that is
The
one
amount
of the
later.
things of this exercise is like if something scores really low, but it's. A very small dollar amount, it seems like if it scored low, but it might be worthwhile the dollar amount, you
Mhm.
know, that they're requesting that.
Yeah,
Justify it.
yeah.
and by the way, I did a total, which was interesting. So there were 61 requests for 252 million and we approved 49 for 65.2. So we approved about 30%. So,
Above the mean,
no, in total.
The
So
two,
we did a good
including
job.
the standard deviation.
Yeah, so we did a pretty good
You're
job.
saying 65?
Yeah,
Yeah, but then 30 of that is 2 debt exclusions.
right.
And so that those being the fields and.
Yeah,
track
the
and football field,
school and then the dorm,
the door, that's the other one.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
so that's
Alright.
31 million out of 65.
Got it. Cause the Surfside treatment facility at 9 that's not. A debt exclusion.
Actually,
And I really don't know whether or not they are.
that
but
is a debt exclusion.
That one also is.
Surfside?
That's their side, the second one's the,
Treatment facility.
I will,
upgrade.
I whipped this off in a hurry when you had requested it, Madam Chair, so I may have missed that one. I didn't think
Don,
it
do you
was.
remember? Cause
Um,
the way it was written, like when it was presented. I shouldn't, you know what? Hold on.
Yeah, it's why improvements.
I don't have
Or what makes them do not ever use
I have the
dollar.
warrant here.
I don't know. It's fine.
Do you know about what article that's gonna be? Is that gonna be like 20?
20, typically, if it's not a debt exclusion, this would be the enterprise and it would be Article 22, I'm guessing.
That's the ambulance reserve.
Oh,
fund issue.
sorry, they change every year. It could be
I
17.
know, I know. It's okay.
So the wastewater treatment could be enterprise fund funded.
The one
Request
above
needs to be-
here, that's that's wastewater treatment facility is a natural resources. That's general fund, which would be Article 10.
The Surfside treatment facility upgrades for 9.25.
No, the sewer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he said waste. Sorry, it's hard to hear you guys a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, it's because we have this heater on. It's
I,
like,
so I don't have the debt exclusions open because like I said, I kind of threw this together in the last half hour. And I,
times, winds, no.
if you give me a minute, oh, I can't because I'm screen sharing.
I'm looking at the sewer.
I want to think of this.
Enterprise,
Or it's below the threshold.
delivers.
Above that, built to be a debt exclusion.
No, below to be a solution, I mean, it's a. $500. But it wouldn't come to us if it was $500.
I did, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I do have my original list and I do not show that as a debt exclusion.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Only Article 15 with the Somerset sewer needs.
Why is that an exclusion?
Why is that a debt exclusion?
Yeah,
And why this one isn't?
yeah.
I don't know, Don might be able to answer that actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they are not.
Do you remember, Don?
Did we lose Dawn? I don't see Dawn on any.
Yep, she's showing up on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry, she's not on mine anymore.
Don?
Why don't you guys pull that particular worry up? It is 24002.
Somerset needs is 21002.
Yeah, but we're looking at the wastewater one, so it's.
It's funding, constant funding.
Don's back.
Hey, Don, I mean, these are different projects.
Yes.
But,
Hi.
hi, Don, sorry, can you remind us, like, on the Surfside treatment facility, if. Not that we expect you to remember it, but, this is in addition to money I think they've already spent.
Yes.
And this will not be a debt exclusion.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not.
What, do you?
Don't think
recall
so.
Why it's not, Don?
No, I
Uh,
don't. I'd have to pull all that up.
Okay.
I-
could I- a related
Howard,
question-
do you mind if I interject for 1 second? I wanted to
Okay.
see, wanted to defer to Dawn first to see, my understanding, but I may be wrong with this, is if the original, so this is a supplemental funding to the original
Yeah, It
request.
already passed. Yeah.
Understood. If the original request was not a debt exclusion, typically the supplemental funding is not. That's what I've understood the practice has been in the past, but
Yeah,
I would as well have to go back and double check this, but I
my
think,
guess is it's because it's a must do, not a, like a must do now and not a must do later.
It would be great to know the answer to that because I was gonna ask Dawn, but I guess I'll ask you, Sue, about Somerset. Why wouldn't that then also be an exclusion?
that is a debt exclusion.
Okay,
Somerset
that
is a
is.
debt. So the ones I have highlighted in this darker red are the debt exclusions.
Yeah,
Yeah, Somerset's.
Yes,
a
Somerset is a
borrower.
debt exclusion. I believe
And-
the reasoning. Well, now that I've lost wherever we were, where did that go? Oh, When the Surfside, I believe, is not because it's the original, appropriation wasn't a debt.
They're like in the middle of that project. I
Do
think.
you know why the original Surfside wasn't, I'm sorry to ask the question, but I expected you to say no.
I would have to look back, Howard. I'm happy to get back to you on that. I would have to look back. It may precede me. I don't recall.
I think it's for educational purposes, so we know.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's move on. If there's no other conversation above the mean, let's talk about everything in the standard deviation. Within the range of this, the standard deviation, the first standard deviation.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask is Christy, do you know why we, on the DPW central fleet, it was below the deviation? And that's like and then their transit van versus the ones that we approved that are in the deviation. Do you remember what it was about those that might have forced them below the deviation?
I mean, I can't speak for everyone else. I think
Wait a minute, I just want to talk about what's in the standard.
I am talking about, I'm
They
talking
are
about
in
the
there,
trucks that
right?
are in there.
No,
No, the
No.
truck.
oh, the
that are-
trim, the
below.
van is just below it.
The van's like just below it, and I just didn't know, but at DPW Central Fleet, that we have a replacement of a 350, so I just wondered what the thinking was that.
Well, for that matter, Howard, you could look and say, well, like the eighth one down from the very top is a Harbor Master truck and the bottom is a F-150 for housing, so,
well, I
it's,
think that's, we
it's,
understand why we
it-
didn't.
it's an interesting, well, I mean, it's still a vehicle that a department's requesting. But I think it's interesting that, we are rating. And it's good, we're rating vehicles with some sort of, contemplation on what we feel is needed. Obviously.
Right, instead of them
you know?
all like being kind of grouped together.
Instead of them all
in the
being in one
You want them-
spot.
It was two identical.
Yeah, we're
requests,
kind of
and one-
considering the details and, yeah.
Yeah.
So I,
So that's a good answer.
so the range is there, the range is because we are all putting our experience with, whether in past years, in this year, in the request, in the details.
Thanks.
And I just think that it's,
We spent a lot of time on every single one of those.
Okay, well, that's a reasonable answer. We all looked at it carefully and we scored.
I think we
each one
did, the fact
separate.
that they're one's almost at the top and one's at the very
Yeah.
bottom. I mean, I will say, there's a difference in the priority with those two vehicles, which comes into play.
Mm.
But,
Yeah,
Anyways.
okay, so is there anything in the standard deviation that someone would like to? Our plan.
Can I just make one, just comment above on the,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
sure.
really quick, just, so I think the two compact fire engines, I believe,
For a million.
from what for a million, from what I understand, that those are replacing the two satellite vehicles out at, the Vatican in Sconset. From what I understand.
I remember the conversation, they wanted the smaller ones because they wanted to be able to access.
Like
hard
dirt
to get
roads.
through places.
Yeah,
I
but one of the
do
vehicles they're
remember-
getting rid of is the brush breaker truck, which I think a
And
lot
the
of
one
people at
at-
the station really like.
And the Wisconsin one, which was,
Yeah. So it's funny, all these past few years, we've been really trying to get our heads around vehicles. And I think what I'd also like to really focus on is how they're, disposing of them. Like, where are the old engines going? And I just want to make sure we're not like, think of all these vehicles that we're adding. If they weren't getting rid of the vehicles, whether they're, sometimes they say replacing it, but the old vehicle is staying still in the fleet. And it's just, to me, that we're now responsible for another vehicle, most likely because it's old, it's just gonna sit there.
Mhm.
So
Your point was-
going forward, I'm gonna be voting on, my votes are gonna reflect whether they're keeping it, because I know it's probably just gonna
Mm.
deteriorate.
Yeah.
And we're responsible for it, we're paying insurance on it, and,
Yeah.
so.
Some of the stuff
Just
I
to
know
keep
they
that in
do,
mind.
like, Cause I thought like the OIH replacement
Truck.
did not make the cut, but it's a OH facilities truck. But they were saying they were gonna use maybe one of the older DPW trucks if they got a newer DPW truck,
Yeah.
like they'll figure.
To another
something
department?
out. Mhm.
Yeah.
They'll figure
Your
it
memory
out.
was terrific, because it says these engines will replace engine two, which is a 2002 fire engine, and brush breaker, which is a 1992 vehicle.
Good memory.
Good for you.
But I might be wrong, Peter. Maybe they may have, I can't imagine they're gonna buy these brand new ones and have them out at the satellites. But, because the satellite sort of stations are really for the older vehicles that are getting replaced. I just wanna make sure, over the course of 3 years, that, they're not just keeping vehicles.
Mhm.
I don't want,
I didn't recall that they were gonna have these ones split to the east and west of the islands.
yeah, I
And
might be
think
wrong on that.
These are more, my understanding was more that they're more for rapid response and that they'd be centrally located and then. Push them out to wherever they need to. I mean, the brush breaker's 35 years old almost, so. I mean, I do. See the reason for having that vehicle, but to your point, I mean, are they gonna get this compact vehicle, which is much different than a brush breaker, and then get rid of the brush breaker? Or is it like, well, this is
Yeah.
gonna do a lot of what the brush breaker was doing, but we're gonna keep the brush breaker. In case we need to run it through a forest to get to a forest fire, that one
Exactly.
of these compact vehicles
Exactly.
might not be able to do.
Yeah.
And to your point, I don't think we ever get full clarity on the disposition of the vehicles being replaced. Quote
Right,
unquote,
right.
whether it goes to surplus and is sold for.
Something to keep
10
in
cents
mind for
on the
next
dollar.
year,
Yeah,
but
when we're trying to put all these things inside too, it's like how much of it is. Stuff that is new and should be inside, how much of it is stuff that's old that was gonna be replaced, that's now taking up space inside, and now we don't have enough space inside, so other.
I did look these up. These smaller engines are basically like a large pickup truck with a utility bed, which is where the tank is in equipment. Might be a double cab, is kind of what it is.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
That they were like side by sides,
yeah,
a little bigger than that.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you could say, why don't you just get one and make sure it's the right thing? Instead of committing to two that
Mhm.
maybe, I don't know.
Do they have enough,
Why do you have to get two?
do they have enough capability on their own if they had to respond to like a moderately sized fire? Since they are kind of compact.
yeah.
Maybe one.
Yeah, because they only have like a tank that holds, I think it's like
1,000
4,000 gallons of water or something. So if you go someplace where there isn't a fire hydrant, it's probably helpful to have two.
Yeah.
So that you have more capacity.
Maybe that's them.
Yeah.
It's
We
like the
never
one
asked
that you're
that
gonna
question,
send
did we?
first and then the
Right,
bigger one.
or one, but it's
Why-
going to get water,
why
if that
two?
would go in there.
We didn't, but it's just a thought,
Why didn't you ask that question?
Yeah.
because it just came up.
I mean, it could be that they recommend with things like this that are smaller, more compact for a reason. Like you can only have so much, firepower, quote unquote, with a compact vehicle, but maybe that's.
I remember in the
Still,
presentation, they emphasized that on Nantucket, that there were quite a few circumstances where having something smaller and more agile was really very beneficial, and they stressed it as a top priority.
I mean, being downtown on Main Street and you see the fire truck try to go up there in the middle of August, it's like if you have compact vehicles, you can get people to move over for you to get by much faster, It's tough downtown when there's an emergency.
Mm.
Yeah.
In addition to
Yeah.
helping with areas that are further out.
Yeah, I know one of the engines is that they got, it doesn't have good turning, and they can't turn on a lot of these streets.
One
Oh,
of the trucks that they got,
Yeah, it's not great, not a great scenario.
but these trucks are gonna be ones in Scottsdale,
Yeah.
ones in Manicat, yeah.
I might be wrong on that. I'm sure that they're gonna probably want one, at least one at the station.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was the other thing I was gonna mention? Sorry. That was it.
I'd like
Anything
to
else?
talk about, coastal resiliency. I'd like to talk about for a minute.
Yeah.
Um,
Go for it.
I'm just in reading over the notes on that, the money would allow for, just reading here, to secure grants and in-kind contributions, permitting and engineering. So I'm concerned, it seems like because in my mind, I know that grants are more possible for something like that, but if they're not going to even be able to apply for or have range for some of those grants because of not getting this money, then that adds concern.
Specifically, are you speaking of the pond groundwater mapping?
No, coastal resiliency.
Coastal
Okay.
resiliency.
It's in the
For
middle,
$1 million.
middle,
Okay,
well,
I think what she said was that she is getting quite a bit of grant money.
well,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a note of that because because it's worth noting in our
Yeah.
notes.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm just realizing that the description is primarily, it looks like it's primarily to allow them to secure grants and in-kind contributions, permitting and engineering. So if that's true, I mean, are they going to be getting grants anyway if they don't have this money? It sort of seems like this money is what lets them go to that next level.
They told us that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, they told us that they can't go and apply for grants if they don't have the money.
Yeah.
Yes, they don't qualify for the grant then,
Yeah,
for the checking the box in the request.
Okay, so by not getting the money from Capcom,
yeah,
then
that's what
that,
she said.
that actually handicaps them. It's not just, it actually is deleterious to their efforts. Would that be a correct impression?
That's what she said, I mean.
So I think that concerns me.
Me too.
You want to elaborate, Liza?
I mean, I think that I feel like they need the funding in order to do their jobs and to make sure that we have a long-term plan. So I feel like it's short-sighted to not give them funding for something that protects the island. So, and I mean, if it's so that they can get grants, it's just in the whole scheme of things, I don't think that $1 million is not going to handicap the budget, but I feel like it's a good investment.
And so if they're getting $1 million a year for this, let's say their fiscal year 25, $1 million asking, those 1.25. But so in theory, is there $1 million in grants that they have been able to secure because we approved $1 million in funding in fiscal year 25? I mean, is that the way this is all sounds like it's supposed to be working?
That's a good way to put it.
I
I'm
know
just
they've
curious.
definitely secured hundreds of thousands.
Yeah,
They
this
did.
is, it's not like,
But so
it's not like a matching science. I think it's the amount is helpful for retaining grants, but I think I don't think that they've matched.
when they apply for a grant for a $500,000 grant and they check a box saying we have $500,000 available in borrowing, like either to spend alongside this for $1 million project, you know, if they've been getting $1 million a year for the last 10 years, in theory, they have $10 million worth of available borrowing. To
No,
help
we
secure
have
grants.
that
Is
number. She came and, weren't you,
Is it
were
like-
you here that day? She came and Peter?
Well, I'm just trying to understand, and maybe I didn't understand it the day that they were in here, although I do think I had to leave early when she was here.
Or 3, June?
I'm really sorry, but my computer on the fritz and I can't pull up any of that stuff right now.
But
What was your
is,
question?
Sue, can you pull up the supplemental
reserves,
documents? Cause
coastal
she sent a
resiliency
lot of
reserves.
information.
is that how it works though, essentially, if they've had 10 million, if they've had $1 million over the last 10 years, $10 million. And they've secured $8 million in grants that also is encumbering $8 million of that approved borrowing. Like, is that how this works essentially? So like that 8 million is earmarked for the 8 million in grants that they got if they were like side by side
No.
co-spending grants?
I don't think so. I don't think they asked for this based on what they're gonna apply for grants.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's less.
but I think it's one of the uses of the funds. But I don't think it is in any way related to the amounts. I think they're
So it's
unrelated.
not like we have a $1 million grant in 2027 that we want to apply for, and we need this $1 million to show them that we have our own
Well,
million.
that's what she does
That's what
say.
I thought.
Exactly what she
Can I
does. say.
ask you to restate what you said? Because to answer his question,
I was just saying, I don't think it's,
One.
yeah, I don't think it's 1-to-1. I think this is one of the valuable uses, from what I understand, that that these funds are used for. Many other things, like we're looking at just the one component of the use of the funds. And I think that there's,
Well, like the wastewater treatment that we approved, that design for that surface.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
coming through. I think they're gonna end up funding that.
Yeah. But I mean, did you guys see the document that she sent out? Oddly enough, they provided all this supporting documentation on the use of the funds, and yet we scored this lower than we did last year without all that
Well,
documentation.
yeah, because she doesn't have any contracts attached to it. In my opinion, that's why I don't think I was super, I was like,
I think
you
that-
said this money's planned for, but you have not signed any of these contracts.
that was,
Now
And
we're
that,
asking
and I'm talking about the
Yeah,
money she had
yeah.
left over,
right,
which was
and
significant.
that's why I scored it lower as well. But to
So-
come back to Christie, so if they're asking for 1 million a year, and they asked for 1 million for next year, and they got 800,000 of grants. Then what happens with the borrowing? Doesn't of the $1 million borrowing, 800,000 just not get used?
It's replaced by grants.
Yes,
Yeah,
Madam
no,
Chair,
she-
through you. So
Yes.
typically coastal resiliency is not a borrowing, it is typically free cash as the funding source. So understand we don't borrow.
I think that one day, I mean, Sue, do you, or Dawn, would you all say it's fair to say this is probably gonna go in as a line item in the budget at some point, or?
why isn't it? Jill?
It's a very large dollar amount
Just to
to
say it's a large.
cover in the operating budget every year.
But in fact, that's how you're paying for it.
Well, that's kind of what
We're
happened.
paying
Isn't
for it
that
with
what
free
happened with
cash.
didn't that happen with the baseline data program for natural resources?
It was a little smaller.
It was, yes, it was like $400,000, so it wasn't nothing. Right?
It would be interesting though to
Um,
see,
I think it was
Peter,
smaller.
your
I don't
point,
remember.
like. Over the, say if
It
you
was
take
a-
from the start
Okay,
of
maybe it was
funding,
200.
like
$1 million a
what
year.
what has that, like, what have we got back in grants?
Right.
You know, in.
And if 800 in 1 year is replaced by grants, that 800 that was authorized, I mean, is that just still sitting there available to be used for something else, or it just, no, okay.
Right, Dawn, it's not
Well-
sitting there, or Sue? It's canceled, right?
You're saying if it's a prior
Like he's-
appropriation, hold on, I'm so sorry.
I think I think you're saying if it was budgeted for
Mhm.
and it wasn't needed because grants came in, what happened to that money, especially in the case since it's being funded from free cash? Is that what?
It sounds like you know what I'm asking, yeah,
I mean, I
It
think
would-
they will,
detail then. I would have been.
So the money would stay there until they have said that they no longer need the project, they need that funding, and then we would close it. We would close it back to free cash.
But in this case, we're not actually allocating it towards a project, it's just a
exactly.
general request.
Well, they do projects with them.
No, but you're right.
No, they do actually do
They
projects.
do
I know,
projects,
but
but
the
the
way that
request
we're
isn't
looking at it-
specified for a project.
Correct.
It's
No,
just a bucket of $1 million that goes towards.
But she sent a long list of the things
Yes.
that she was
Yeah.
planning to do. It's just she did not have actually signed any contracts with it yet.
So
But she does have a plan.
Can you remind me why we're
And-
focused on this?
I think Caroline wanted to talk about it, and I think it's fine. It came up yesterday actually in our budget reviews at FinCom, so I think people are starting to ask questions about it. You know, because there's so many capital requests in the future with them. I mean, she says here, it's like the island's gonna spend $3.2 billion on coastal resiliency, which seems like a lot, but
I mean, listen, there's there is so much engineering cost, we all know what engineering costs in design and. I mean,
She
it
got
is daunting.
right here.
There's not one department to me that's
It's not
daunting
affected.
than coastal resiliency. And I'm not just saying that 'cause I'm on the committee.
She got $1 million in grant funding for multiple projects like Easy Street flood mitigation. The wastewater treatment facility, dune resiliency, Francis Street beach improvement project, which they are still working on. So that was $1 million in grant funding that she got, which I think is why she has quite a bit of money left over.
Well, that's the question. Why does she have money left over if it's being funded from the operating budget? And that's kind of,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
said it's because the
So-
grants are
so-
reimbursable. So they really do need the
what
money.
happens.
I'm sorry, I'm not
So
following what
there
you're,
was $1 million of grants that were received for coastal resiliency. But if I were correctly repeat what you said that coastal resiliency's expenses are generally paid from the operating fund.
I said they are paid from free cash, which is after the operations
Right.
close every year. And that it would stay there. I mean, those funds have been appropriated from free cash. And the money would stay to coastal resiliency until the department says they are done with the project. Then we would close it back to free cash, which would become available in the next fiscal year.
So if they got a grant, you wouldn't close it necessarily because you don't know that they don't need that money, but but you don't do a partial closure either.
Correct. We do not close it until the department says they no longer need the money, the project is complete. Typically, it's not a one-on-one match from what they receive in grants, and I'm just speaking in general. I know last year Coastal Resiliency received approximately 460,000 in one of their grants, but that also grants are very specific to a purpose of what they have to use that money for. So that then gives them the ability of the $1 million they had for coastal resiliency to use towards other projects they wanted to use.
So when we say until the project is closed, we're talking about a specific project like Easy Street flood mitigation or groundwater rise model for downtown, or are we just saying project as in like the appropriation request, which is very general and is just coastal resilience?
To answer you on that, an easy example would be a vehicle. Probably not a vehicle. Say we had funded the vehicle through free cash and we had appropriated 100,000 from free cash. The vehicle got purchased and it came in at 90,000. So that left us with $10,000. We would close that out. That's the end of that project, so to speak.
In that case, though, the appropriation probably would have said for the purpose of buying this vehicle, correct?
Yes. Oh,
And
absolutely.
now, and looking at the appropriation requests for coastal resiliency, I mean, maybe on the warrant it'll be different, but the request itself is just, seems like it's just for coastal resiliency efforts. So is
That
that
is very
project, quote
valid.
unquote, ever closed out and the funds put back towards free cash, or is it always just going to be sitting there, we get a grant, the funds go back into free cash, it's never closed out, and then it's kind of just this
Mhm.
kind of wish wash of money for a project that's a 30-year project and ultimately is gonna be funded with, tens or hundreds
So
of millions
they'll,
of
if
dollars.
it's going through free cash, they're just funding it if they need to.
Yeah, and so, and every grant they get just increases that money available in free cash because the project, quote unquote,
It does.
is never closed. Like it is for when you buy a vehicle, or like it is for when you build a new road.
Yeah, a
Well,
lot
they
of
just won't
these
if they don't need it.
projects are just ongoing. It's just
Well, I'm
Right.
looking at all of
Right.
them right now. Okay, she
Yeah.
did actually a really good list. She put a
Yeah.
lot of time into this. I have to hand it to her because I'm super skeptical about all this, like the studies, but the studies, it feels like a lot of your studies are done. Not all of them, but you're now moving into projects, right? So the money you have gotten in total since 2020 is 4.8 million. And a lot of this, and she lists all the projects. The Surfside wastewater treatment facility, dune resiliency, Francis Street, Pulpus Road, blah, blah, blah. So she has spent on these projects or on everything, 3.236 million, okay? But she got a lot of that back through grant money.
Yeah.
So that's why she has money left over. And then she has a plan for things that are in the queue, which is at about 3.5.
But she secured that
And she doesn't know
because,
if she'll
because of
get the grants for these.
the reserves.
Yeah. So she has matching grants for some of that. I don't know, she's got a lot of specifics. It seems like you've identified a lot of projects.
Yeah,
She does have to weigh in, like if Natural Resources has a project, sometimes they ask Coastal Resiliency to pay for, like, you know, to look at the rare species, some of the
yeah.
side studies that you have to
Yeah.
do.
The number of projects in the detail, I don't disagree with at all. I think obviously there's a lot here and she put a great amount of effort into communicating all of it. I guess I'm just
She did.
trying to wrap my head around is it $1 million a year for a general effort of coastal resiliency that is tied to these specific projects? Or is it $1 million a year that, they can just pull from for any of these projects anytime? They get grants, it goes back into free cash, and then it's just kind of generally all available for whatever projects they want to use it for.
Yeah,
Because when we approve this at town meeting or when the article's up at town meeting, it's not gonna be $1 million for Baxter Road, NOI, and Pulpus Road resiliency and Sheep Pond Road. It's just gonna be for general coastal resiliency purposes, right?
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
and Sheep Pond Road was an
Right.
emergency, so they are acting for
Yeah.
emergency purposes too. I think that's why they like to have it and.
And that's what it seems like. It helps them be flexible. It helps them secure grants when they need to. It's a little bit less directly accounted for as other requests, but
Mhm.
I guess that's just what we have to get comfortable with or.
Yeah, or
No.
Yeah.
start asking them to come in with specific projects and amounts.
Well,
Again,
see, that's what will
So
develop.
hard.
I think once you have some significant projects. And there's a lot of significant projects that they're doing, but once you have those really high dollar ones, they will start to separate out.
Project specific, and that's where if they, ask for 20 and they get a $5 million grant, and at the end of it, there's $5 million left, and they say project's over. $5 million, it goes unused and isn't,
Yeah.
used for something else going forward, unless they.
Yeah, so if they have requests for, say 3 projects that they're doing that are big money projects. It will be interesting to see if they still request the $1 million for the general workings.
You would think until all the projects are permitted and.
Yeah.
And, feasibility studies and those things are
Yeah,
Yeah.
all in the books.
I mean, she's got some little stuff in there too, like $5,000 for,
yeah.
rare
Well-
species botanical study and things like that, so.
I mean, it is the epitome of like really,
It's
this
a-
is like-
It's a mix.
this is when you answer the question, who's benefiting.
Yes.
Every single person
Yeah.
benefits from this. This isn't, this isn't,
Baxter Road.
yeah, fencing at Delta
Relocated.
Fields. Only the people that play soccer out here and maybe baseball get to use that.
Yeah,
This is like this is very all encompassing. In the big picture, obviously there, projects here and there, but
And I
the
think,
big picture is, the grand scheme
Mhm.
is very encompassing of all of us.
Yeah.
and Jill, I just think to your point, Jill, this, we've been doing this for 3 or 4 years and it's kind of got a little bit of momentum now and you see the large projects that are on the horizon for it. And so I think it is just an inflection point where people are going from like, all right, yeah, let's start to ramp this up to like, all right, let's make sure everybody knows what we're talking about, and what we're looking at before we move on to some very large scale projects.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
question, next year would be,
well, ultimately, they're gonna have to come with if it's a big project, they're just gonna have to come with that project.
Exactly.
oh,
And
totally,
this is kind
Yeah,
of.
and
getting
that's,
the ducks in
yeah.
the row until getting to that point.
Yeah.
It seems like,
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's not, hasn't piqued my
Karen,
interest.
is that decent discussion for you on it?
Yep.
Anybody else wanna make a comment about it? Cause I do think it's one of the trickier ones. I hate to say slush fund, that's not really the right word, but it's just like. It's just access to money for various things.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this, like, what other slush funds do we have? I mean, do we know about, other than say,
Yeah.
you know, what we,
We know
what we
about-
detailed as cobblestone and roads
Which,
and
that's-
sidewalks.
and that's kind of akin to like their individual projects being like.
But
we're gonna
those-
do
The
Main
difference,
Street
the difference is,
sidewalk and
yeah,
this side and that side.
yeah, the difference is, those, say sidewalks and cobblestone. Those go dormant. You know, these funds in that slush fund are happening daily.
Mhm.
Whereas sidewalks, we might not see sidewalk get repaired for a year
They
and a
spend
half.
them in 3 months and then.
Yeah, and
months
that,
go
that
by,
is
which
dormant money,
how you
but
have
this
to do
money,
it.
there's always, you know, there's always something happening.
Mhm.
So that's,
Yeah.
you know, when you think of slush fund,
Maybe
they
revolving.
have, there's a different profile to them,
Yeah.
you know?
I know.
Yeah, I know you do.
And then also to your
I'm
point,
just saying.
I think Drew had mentioned, you know, sometimes Victor's like, hey, I got a week where something got pushed back, like,
I can
let's
do
do
it.
something right now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good for him to have the flexibility to have
Yeah.
the money available in the same
Yeah.
way that if,
I agree.
you know, coastal resiliency Leah is like, hey, this grant money just opportunity came up
Yeah.
and we don't have time to go to wait
Yeah.
for special town meeting or whatever.
Well, what was
so
good
there are
is
some
flex.
in the past, I don't think we had as much detail and that she sent us a lot of detail and I think
Yeah.
we kind of have
Yeah.
a framework to work from.
And she will from now on.
Go ahead, Caroline.
The
Sorry.
Affordable Housing Trust Fund is like this too.
Yeah,
Of
There's
course.
money
Yeah.
available
Yes,
to react.
right.
yeah, I mean, the difference with that is people approved like a huge pot of money and an
It's better
override, so.
Well,
right?
But there is a backstop by having to come to the select board. And the same
Yeah.
with this coastal resiliency thing. We would have to approve any contracts.
Yeah.
So there
Right.
are checks and balances.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, I feel good. Let's move on. Okay, anything else within the standard deviation? You guys wanna pull anything out? You wanna keep anything in? Say it now.
Within the standard deviation, you said?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll say this, and I'm comparing, I'm not saying we have to do a like for like, we can put things in and we don't have to take them out, it's not like that, but. I really think it's fine for the water department to get his truck, I'm not quite sure why that. Ranked low, maybe it's because his priority was only at medium. But I recall him saying his truck was 18 years old.
Yep.
And then we have another 350 for the science department. Which, you know, is fine. I'm just saying, I was kind of surprised, because Mark doesn't have that much equipment and he doesn't ask for that much stuff. So I kind of wanted to move that one into the hopper.
I feel like that's one of the cases where like the category is like how many people does it benefit, or like is it elective? It's where like the
Drags
rankings
the
kind
number
of
down.
skew because it's something that he should have.
Mhm.
In any case, it's an enterprise fund, right?
Yeah, so he'll pay for it.
So it kind of,
Yeah, they cover their costs.
so do you want to vote on that?
Yeah, I don't think we have to. I think we just move it in if everyone's good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had reached out to Charlie, the funding for the ice rink, the roller rink.
yeah,
I had asked Charlie, I called him, because I was doing the Rory's at the time, and I just gave him a call and said, you know, if we're excited to redo it, you know, why are we doing it in an area where no one really goes out? Why wouldn't you do it more centrally, like near the Delta fields or somewhere? And he had,
well, we can't do anything in Delta.
well, I mean, it closer to where it's more accessible. You know, we putting all this money into it out there, and it's just gonna sit there again and
Mhm.
just deteriorate. And he said they're just trying to, they're trying to bolster that little area and people know it's there already. And I think he said, he just feels comfortable that if we do it, you know, people will start going out there. I don't know.
Well, they
I
have
was not sure
on
about it.
Sundays, so they do get like 100 people out there for softball in the summer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
they
think it
make a
looks,
lot of noise.
yeah, I've heard about that.
People having a good time, sounds like.
Yeah,
But it's really annoying.
we're
They have-
not gonna ban fun.
They use amps, and they have a guy on the bongo that's really annoying.
Yeah, I get that
Oh,
at my house
no,
too.
really?
So on that, I think, he's trying to make it a multi-purpose space as
Yeah.
well, so it'll maybe get some more
So
people up.
in answer to your question, Christie, did you feel comfortable that he felt like it was gonna get?
Yeah, he talked it through and I think I think the vision for parks. Is,
It's
good.
getting there.
Yeah. It's gonna
I
take-
mean, the jetties was, and I think that's been a killer investment. And that ranked
The
low
courts- the
originally, and
courts?
we all pushed that through,
Yeah,
and he came in $400,000 under budget, I mean,
and it's getting a lot of use.
yeah,
The,
and hopefully that
Tennis?
same person will be
Yeah,
about.
remember we were focused on the pickleball.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're pickleball. I mean,
John?
I was just gonna say the summer camps use Tom Nevers quite a lot.
That's
Hmm.
that's true, and that could be really good.
They'll
for-
use those facilities for
And is-
for day trips
was
throughout.
that also basketball? hoops
Yeah,
also
well, and also
Yes.
tennis and pickle,
on the roller rink?
yeah, he's gonna line it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's always been out there. I don't know if it's. Part of this conversation would be trying to figure out where to relocate a brand new one. It seems to fit the space out there and,
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah, like all other courts, I guess it's kind of low maintenance, but. A lot of upfront cost to get it.
So is there anything else below the standard deviation that people want to?
Anything within this, no, within.
We're still within.
Oh, we're
Well,
still with that?
I'm just, the island-wide road improvements, it's like, that's something that people are always complaining about and talking about and asking about, just in terms of public commentary and narrative. And it's, when I looked over our different Rorys, there's a lot of discrepancy between our scores, so maybe that would be worth talking about.
Sure.
Well, and I think just to that point, I think there's a lot of discrepancy in between our scores. And each other's scores consistently throughout all the requests, like I know Rob, like
Okay.
Howard generally scored very low in general, some people scored consistently high, whether it's 80 to 60, some people score low, whether it's 50 to 30, but as long as they stay kind of within those ranges and their own relative scoring, then within any individual request, that doesn't create a problem. I think it's if there's any wide fluctuations from, let's say Howard to between one request or another, why did you score that one as a 60 when typically you're in the 40 to 30?
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, island-wide road improvements is within the standard deviation below the mean, which means that we would, in theory, be, recommending it, right? That's this
Yeah.
whole exercise. So that one's in
Well,
there.
and he did attach sort of the areas that he wanted to, he put that on the map.
Yeah, and more so clarified the, what was left, if he's gonna be able to spend it.
Yeah.
If this request was gonna be needed, which I
Mhm.
think he answered all the questions that we had. So Caroline, were you just making sure that we all were supportive of it, despite it being so low in the standard deviation?
I guess I'm just giving voice to the public commentary that I so often hear and see about how come they're not fixing the roads. So I just wanted to
Right.
highlight that.
Unfortunately, a different question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and then, so,
Money to try.
all right, so let's go below the standard deviation. Let's keep going, guys. Is there anything down there that you wanna push up? I'm sure you all have some things that you wanna bring up. I'm gonna let you all talk it
Let
out.
me just throw out the Tom Nevers debris removal.
Yep, it's on the warrant, it's in the warrant and on the ballot, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So do we wanna bump that?
I
up?
just was curious what people thought of it. I mean, I know is it there because of the cost? Or was there something about the details of the request that were not?
I think, well, let me look at my ranking. I think
I mean, I think it was hard to just
They're
apply them to
doing it now.
individual criteria, just some items didn't seem like it was very applicable. Which would
Yeah,
score.
part of me thinks, I think I rated it sort of middle of the road, probably not this low. Just for the sake of us, the town taking responsibility for a cleanup,
And they're doing it now.
yeah.
They're doing the first part now.
Are they?
Maybe,
Oh,
yeah, it'll be finished in May. They're out there now.
Crazy pictures
Maybe not today,
Yeah.
but
that have been going around of it.
yeah, so this is just a continuation and I know it seems like the select board thought it was important to keep pushing it forward.
Yeah,
I'm
I
happy
mean-
to put it in. you know,
Yeah, especially since, I mean,
people are gonna
especially
get to
since-
vote on it anyway.
right, which always takes the pressure off of us, but, I mean, they've already started, you know, and.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to see them get this far, you know, which if it's $10 million project and this is
Yeah.
$8 million, they're gonna get, you know.
And he said he knows he really doesn't think it's gonna come in at $8 million. He thinks in the end it's gonna be closer to 6.
You know,
And I'm also, obviously there isn't any, but I'm surprised that given this was all like federally installed originally, that there's no like.
Yeah, he
Federal
has
money
that.
to help us clean up.
Decommissioning?
Yeah, decommission
Yeah.
what was put in here by,
yeah,
you
Yeah.
know, on a federal level.
And Howard, I
They
think
just
you
abandoned it,
have that as
so-
a comment as a
True.
potential, there's potential grant opportunity there, potential.
Or just
Although I
like
didn't-
liability on.
Don, does that seem right to you? Like it was a maybe?
Yeah, I think that there are some potential federal, I think there's federal money possibly available beyond state money.
Yeah. Seems like they've got momentum there. We can just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be in favor of, or do we make a motion for moving any of these around?
No,
Is
if
that-
we all just agree, does anyone disagree? No, I think we can just put
I'd be
that in.
supportive of it if we moved it
oh,
up.
it's town's mission. As far as,
Yeah,
I just think I think it's responsible for us to
Prudent.
do it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's
That was-
definitely hazardous. It's not good environmentally.
Yeah,
It's-
and it's,
Yeah.
you know,
well, on that note,
be done with it, you know,
okay,
on that note, what?
yeah, let's push that one in.
So is that just a Sue we?
Yeah, Sue, do you wanna just put that above
Mhm.
we'll put that into the report. We
Yeah.
call, Stephen always said put into the hopper.
The hopper.
Um,
On
Uh,
that
uh,
vein, I mean, there are 4 major debt exclusions that are
Yeah.
not recommended here, and they're all should have gotten 100 for select board strategic plan from everybody.
Hmm.
I did put that down on mine. I assure you I did. I've even looked at mine. They all got that.
And so that's.
And I
where-
mean,
I was just gonna say, so that's, and I don't wanna digress, but like when it comes to strategic select board and ranking it, like. I don't necessarily, when I rank mine, but I do it consistently, so I don't think it's an issue, but like. If it checks off 3 of the 5 items on the strategic plan, I would give it a 60. If it checks
Yeah.
off 2, I'd give it 40, if it, you know, and so very. few
Oh,
got 100 for
interesting.
me.
Okay.
Just, and that's just my interpretation of it, and that's, but I do it consistently throughout, so. If it checks off 1, somebody might give it 100 because it checks off any of the
Reflective.
5 boxes
yeah,
of the strategic plan, so I just, sorry to interject that, but just a little bit of
Well,
thinking on my end.
I'll tell you on mine,
But also, that doesn't help it
I
hurt it
wasn't
relative
there.
to the others that I scored, because I
True.
scored them all consistently like that.
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Can I
Um,
start by saying something about one of the items?
yes.
Okay, so I know that this is polarizing, but I am extremely supportive of the town employee housing. And
Yep.
I think that like one of the things that Pete brought up at that meeting was that the people who are aging out and retiring are selling their homes, and they're selling their homes for prices that incoming town employees can't buy them for. And
Mhm.
I've heard time and time again from people in the police department, fire department, the school, that people who are coming here to start their jobs are able to live in casual shared living environments where they don't need a lot of privacy, but as soon as they've been in their occupations for 5 years and are trained and know people here and understand how the island works, they end up moving off island because they can't find a house to live in to move on with their lives and mature. And so I feel like although this is something that seems very expensive, it's an investment that we need to make in our community so that it's a good place to live, where it's safe, and we have people who are the backbone of our community to help us. It's like I don't have kids, but it's like having kids in the school system and teachers are changing constantly and have no experience. You're really putting your kids at a disadvantage. With the school system, I know that the police department has people who aren't as experienced because there's such high turnover. So like, although I know that it's very expensive, I think that it's something that is an investment in our community, and I'd just like to go to bat for that one.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment about it?
I mean, I guess I'll jump in.
Sure.
You think you could play fuck, I think we all agree with what you're saying. Totally. I don't think that the, I believe that the scoring reflected why it's below the line. And I personally strongly believe that while we do need this housing, the request itself is not justifiable. And I'm saying that because I've done a lot of research on P3s. I don't believe the town should be in the business of constructing housing.
Dawn, can you give us any guidance about, it seems like some of the other HTF projects are using like a private developer. Have you? I don't know if
Sorry,
you
I had to
want
unmute.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, this is something that's very supported by our strategic plan for efficient town operations and for housing. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I have some concerns with what we're being charged.
Right.
And
Right.
I do wonder if there may be some better approaches. I mean, I was recently brought a potential opportunity by a private developer that would be 4 condo units, and
Right.
their cost is more like $3 million for 4 apartment style units, not exactly what this is. But if they can do it for that price, why would we not just let them build it and then buy that? It's
Also,
like, well,
can I
our
just-
hands are being tied by procurement and
Yes,
Very
people,
much.
and I think that people are just inherently overcharging us
right. I
compared to the
believe that
private sector.
the housing that we build would be as much as 150% more expensive, meaning 50% more expensive than if it was privatized. I do also want to add that I did a whole write-up on this, and I'm happy to send it to Sue to have it circulated to you about why P3s work here. I'm not a lawyer in municipal space at all, but I've done a lot of research on it, and we sent it to Christie to ask her to respond to it. And she, I think, doesn't want to respond to it because she prefers to build a fiefdom. And so I think we could bring in this housing at a much lower cost, in a much more efficient process, with people who are clearly in the business of developing housing and are taxpayers, meaning that they could use the tax benefits from the depreciation of the asset.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Christie's feeling a lot of pressure with all the rental properties that she has, and she is trying to get them.
Yeah,
Those rental.
this is a solution to not being subject.
Right, so when we
Yeah.
talked to Brian,
It's
you
just
may
the approach.
recall that I think that there was a misunderstanding about the lawsuit that, I can't remember the name of it, that starts with an R, and the Rossi or something like that, and why
Rossi.
that precluded P3s, but it
Rossi.
actually really didn't. And because if you structure the procurement per 30B properly, it will in fact be able to be done, and it can be done with income restrictions on it, and it can be targeted to town employees.
Yeah, I think there's just another approach. I just wonder if, I don't know how you feel about that, Liza. I think it's, for example, the reason it stuck out to me is because it's going right next to Tacoma Green, which is a private developer where we lease the land, and then,
Same thing.
you know, you can still do that, we think, for municipal employees, so that the town still controls who lives in it.
Yeah.
Right, and then she can work around her AMI levels if she needs to, even under that scenario. But the town is like a guaranteed tenant.
I don't
And-
think that you can do that.
Guaranteed the town's the tenant.
I don't think that you can give municipal preference, but you can't limit it to just municipal. I
Actually, in
think
my
that that's a
research-
problem.
Actually, in my research, I found that you could, and again, I'm not a municipal lawyer, but when I looked on the web, you absolutely could.
Yeah, we did look it up. I looked it up too, Don. It looks like it's possible. I'm not saying it's easy.
But let me ask you guys a question.
Mhm.
Obviously, in the case of housing, you know, and I find myself as far as when it comes to like financing projects, it's maddening what we have to pay for housing.
It is.
But I have to accommodate overages for the sake of housing. Housing's the one thing I accommodate overages for because of what we're dealing with and what and staffing and allowing our departments, partly why I'm usually slightly on the other side of you guys when it comes to like airport housing. You know, it's ridiculous. But there's a point where I accommodate overages, as maddening as it is,
Yeah,
when it comes to just housing. It's really the only thing I find myself doing that with, because I know that the flexibility and the advantage that it gives the town and our department heads to staff and get people to come here.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan of hiring within. I don't think we do enough of that, unfortunately, for people that have housing here. I don't know why we're going off and getting department heads from off island when we should be looking in how it within departments.
and we heard.
That's one thing.
And we heard the town manager say that, like, we needed to start looking for a house for a town manager. I mean, she said
Yeah.
that here a couple of times.
Yeah, I'd really like I'd like to exhaust sources on island before we keep looking off island, because sometimes in the past, we found a lot of times getting that person off island has not worked out.
Yep.
The airport housing
Totally.
issue was not that we didn't think that it was needed, because it was housing for airport employees it was just that it was a sloppy, ineffective.
Yeah, I get it.
Solution.
I get it, and I followed you guys somewhat on that.
And that's the reason why, otherwise
Yeah.
I would agree with, and I think
I
that.
didn't even mind them getting that. I voted for that. I think that what I minded is if they were gonna clear the property, why not take advantage of it to put more housing there? And then he was like, well.
In the stipulations of it, yeah.
Right.
But he had just wanted to build two other, like, to have two
Yeah.
other little footprints for stuff, and I'm sure that's gonna come back, and I was like, this isn't a good use of this
Yeah,
property. It
I'm-
needs to be more.
No, I get that, and I understand, and I
So.
I agreed with a lot of, and I know you guys did a lot of the work on that. And I
Yeah.
agreed with a lot of it. What I'm saying is, when it comes to housing,
Yeah, we're gonna pay.
I accommodate overages.
We just want it done right, but you know.
But the
also-
thing is, the more, just think about in perpetuity, the more we can do now, when we can say afford it, who knows what's gonna happen, you know? The more leverage it gives us as we progress forward. You know, if we wait a few years for them to come down in price, well, it's gonna probably be back at the price that we're considering now anyway. We all know that people like to stick it to the town, but.
In previous conversations, also as a group, we discussed about taking public land and leasing it to a private developer. And I think some people thought on the committee that that can't be done. And in fact, it was done for Tacoma Way, and it can be done. And it apparently is within the confines of the municipal code to permit it.
Well, I think we all are supportive of town employee housing. I think for
Yeah.
me personally, the reason I don't support this right now and didn't last year is because there are a lot of projects out there, and I think it's a good idea to see what comes online. And I do think some town employees we know they'll qualify for some of the projects that are, I mean, I think Orange Street, that was out to bid. Was that an accepted bid yet? Do we know?
Was it the scattered bid? They're gonna do that and 30
And-
acres and somewhere else also, I think.
So I think our job as a committee is to not approve things that are ill-conceived.
Yeah.
Not because we don't like the project or the concept, but because it's not necessarily wise for the town to take that approach and
Yeah.
spend that money for that particular solution.
Well,
I get it.
yeah. But she's definitely in a tight spot. I just think there is quite a bit coming online, and the town, they're the largest employer on the island. So I do think some of the town employees I know they're gonna qualify, and I would think that they're going to have a good chance of getting to knows even before this project would take off, but that's me. Maybe it's just more of a timing, we have a lot of debt exclusions. We're looking at a lot of things. This really failed last year. It wasn't great. And so now it comes back and we say, oh, well, yeah, we'll put it forward just because it's less money. I mean, that's how it's gonna look to people, and
I
I
believe
feel
you
like
said.
that isn't really, I don't like that.
Also said that we don't have definitive plans or a definitive budget for what she's gonna do.
Well, this money, we don't know, cause
Right.
she is gonna do a fixed bid. They don't expect it to be more than 10, but I do not believe it'll land at 7. I
But
don't.
we were not told specifically what
Yeah,
it,
'cause
what it
they're-
was.
She has these different options if you look on the.
Yes, I
right?
remember.
So I think that they're trying to bid those out and see if they can have a firm number.
And I think
So-
that after town meeting, she tried to be more transparent to try to educate people about what they were trying to do because what happened at town meeting wasn't very clear. And obviously, like based on how that went, it was understandable that there wasn't support for it. My take is more just like kind of the urgency of the matter and like everything that Howard, you're saying, I think is great. And that's like the ideal scenario. But like, how do we get that going as soon as possible? Because this is like happening now and is urgent. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, I understand that it might not be um, the best or it's not the ideal situation, but like, if we need to get people into housing, um, it's a
I know,
solution,
but
so.
Can I just say that one
Yeah.
of the things that came up here as an idea, because I agree with you on the imminence of housing is why don't we have money ready to deploy to buy some housing? Like I would like her to
Yeah.
have a fund or some way of, I'm sure Brian can figure this out. That a way that she has money now to go do that. And what this is doing is saying, okay, this is new money, right? This is not within the HTF money that the taxpayers already agreed to give the over $6 million a year now. And they're like, no, well, we need more. But, and then the AMI to me also didn't totally add up. I think that this was supposed to be to give her more flexibility on AMI, but we know that the HTF also has more flexibility on AMI now after the seasonal communities. So I just felt like there's some crossover there that I thought could maybe get covered at HTF a little bit, not totally. I'm not opposed to municipal town housing.
Yeah.
It's not that, but
I'm not
it
saying
is
you're-
new money. It's not that many units. And I think they did have to go out and buy some housing, like for the airport manager and for the police chief. And when there's an emergency, like what you're talking about, Liza, like I think the town steps up and gets the money and gets it done, and I'd like her to have a budget for
Yeah.
that personally,
Yeah,
but
right.
I think that the bedroom or the housing count in this was 4. Am I right? There were 2 buildings of 2 each.
she had a village option, she has an apartment option.
But it wasn't really so many that you couldn't solve this problem immediately if you were
It's 4
looking
lots.
for buying.
3 to
property.
4 bedroom, primary
Existing.
duplex and 2 to 3 bedroom secondary. An 88 bedroom basement, which is possible. But it's 5 to 8 bedrooms per
Yeah, but
lot.
it was about 4 houses.
Yeah.
So Liza, I'm with you. I don't know what we do to put a sense of urgency to explore better ways of
Yeah.
helping Christie achieve her goals.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also when I just look at, it's 5 to 8 bedrooms per lot. Okay, so that's 15 to 24 total bedrooms is a possibility. $7 million ain't gonna be enough. So
Okay.
that number just sounds wildly low to me.
And anyway, it would
I
be
thought that was only for
families.
one property or something like that.
Yeah.
That wasn't for the whole build out.
Well,
Let's
this
reflect that
is
first.
the 4, there's 2 standalone structures per lot.
4.
Yeah,
And those are gonna go to like a family, right? So
Yeah.
the bedroom count's really not
not in-
directly linked to the
Yeah.
number of employees it will accommodate.
Yeah.
But I don't know why we're spending.
Well, I don't think we know exactly. Sue, do you know if they landed on just one option out of these? I'm looking at our supplemental document.
I do not have any updates on that, Madam Chair.
I think that they just wanted to see which one probably came in better, or was like on the bid too, but. Okay,
So this one's obviously gonna be on the ballot.
this is on the ballot. If you guys want to put it in,
Yeah.
you can. I personally would like us to have comments about how we'd like to, we've all kind of offered some other ideas and,
Yeah, this would be a good comment.
and,
It's already written, I will.
Yeah,
share it with
yeah,
you.
well, we'll share it with our, yeah, Howard, you'll share it when you
Right.
got it ready and see if we're happy to approve that. But, I don't know, Don, do you think it's okay if we leave it off, or do you think we should put it in since it's on the ballot? I mean, it's just tough. There is no dollar figure. There is no way this is coming in $7 million. I mean, I hope it does.
But they're asking us what we think.
I mean, I think it's okay if you leave it off.
Okay, does anyone really object? If you do, Liza, we could take a vote.
No, I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from. I just wanted to kind of communicate my feelings about it because it's something that's
Well, I don't think any of us disagree with what you said.
They were well said.
It was, and it is an emergency, and I really wish there were like an emergency fund for this purpose to go out and buy some things when it comes up. I mean. Instead, it just was gonna it's gonna make us a landlord that I don't think that we're gonna be great at.
Well, we already are landlord for many.
Yeah, and you always say that we're not very good, but we're not taking care of a lot of facilities.
Well, I
Do a
think
Great
that.
job,
I
so
think
now we're
we
gonna
need to
build
get better
more.
about
Yeah.
that side of it.
Yeah.
No question.
I agree.
And we, if we build garbage, then you gotta take care of garbage the rest of your life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sure.
I also would like,
Still gotta take care of it.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see this
Yeah.
housing move away from being a capital expenditure to being an operating expenditure for curb appeal. Because it makes more sense. And also, I believe that we should be using other people's money rather than our own money when we can.
Yep, I think that's fair.
In terms of borrowing.
Well, just like
Versus
lease
us
the land or
borrowing
private
versus
to P three.
privatization.
Kind of a partnership and somebody that's in the business all the time, which is we're doing with HCM.
Yeah, do we lose sort of leverage if someone else is doing it? No.
You know, if you want to know how to,
To come
I can
with-
tell you just basically,
Yeah.
it's a land lease and it is a development operating lease. And in those, you put them out to
Let the
bid.
developer make his profit, you
You
know?
put them out in an RFP and have spec'd it all out, so you list what you want, both for use and et cetera. You can even stipulate rents
I was
in
gonna
it.
say, yeah, I mean, income restrictions, so to speak.
Yes, all of it.
Years.
And you get people per section 30B to bid on it. And if we get some bids on it, then they are telling us, the developers, that they can make a return on this at the price that we've asked for it to be done.
Yeah.
And I mean, if that's all true, also, I mean, I don't know if there's an opportunity or would be a requirement or an aspect where the town kind of guarantees any aspect of like the rental agreements as they're the employer of the employees that are in there, because if it is, that would make it extremely
When,
know,
when
and-
we've done these for the federal government, which I believe is very analogous, the answer is yes.
yeah, I mean, if a developer said the town's gonna backstop these rents too, you know, like
Absolutely.
that.
That's the
That's a
credit.
gold stamp on a guarantee for what
It's the
their
credit.
revenue is gonna be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent, good discussion. I appreciate everybody talking about that, because we know that we keep coming back.
Yeah,
And the voters get a chance at it, so it's not like this is not, it's just a recommendation from us.
we gotta get to the island home and then.
Yeah, and then I. Okay, so I think is that the last one do you all want to talk about the Somerset sewer?
I was gonna ask, what's the most updated?
That is.
Select board
the
behind
select
it,
board
I
Put
mean,
that on the warrant.
everybody else
With
behind
which
it.
one?
To be debt exclusion, the Somerset needs. I don't personally feel like we need to move it in. Don, this was always my question, and maybe this is just too singularly minded, and I know there were advantages about you putting that on, but. Did any homeowners reach out and say they wanted this? Because I didn't see anybody at
Yes,
any meetings.
they did.
They did, okay.
They did.
That's what I wanted to know.
I've had directly 3 people contact me that want it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've spoken to a couple of people who just like asking to gauge interest, and the few people that I've spoken to have all been in favor of it who live in that area.
Yeah.
Well,
Don, is it still possible this is not gonna be,
Not gonna
Coming
be
forward.
what?
it's 100% coming forward?
Yes, it's on the warrant. What I would say if we want to add something to our recommendation is my suggestion has been that we either incorporate betterments or user fees to help fund this, because I think 43 million is too big of an ask
100%.
to go
And how many people
fully
was
on the
it
tax
affecting?
base.
I agree with
Huh?
that, 100%.
Do we know how many people it affected there? I mean, I know.
I think it's like 400 homes.
and as written now, the warrant doesn't include either of those avenues to.
It doesn't have betterments in there, right?
That's
Don?
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
it.
also have talked about increasing the capacity fee on these homes instead as a in our sewer workshop.
As in, these homes would pay a higher sewer fee.
A higher
to
capacity
offset,
utilization fee.
like the monthly sewer bill, essentially.
We could
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
an increment this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I mean,
Gotcha.
either way, it would go into a long-term payment, whether it
Mhm.
betterments would increase their tax bill.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm surprised we're recommending this without that structure in place. I
And
mean,
that's
that's a that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of to make benefit.
Yeah.
Well
There
said.
was a lot of,
No, but Christie's right. Why didn't they knew that it was being presented. Why didn't they take the betterment
Yeah.
approach?
Oh, I mean,
there was
Well,
quite a bit.
just-
Because they
It
didn't
failed.
have
Betterments were proposed for the
Shima.
Harbor Shimo, and it failed to be part of it.
Yeah. And
Failed as in who strikes it
It
out?
got voted down, town meeting.
Town meeting, so there were enough people at town meeting that didn't want
Town
betterment.
meeting or prior to town meeting. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but
Well,
it
it's
was
such a
it was
small-
taken out.
Understood what.
How would the subset of people that are negatively impacted by the betterments create enough of a majority to vote it down?
well, you have to
Exactly.
see the betterments, what Don's talking about. With the betterments, like, you have to attach that to a project, because of course someone's gonna vote on the project, yes, if they're not getting assessed betterments. But you have to put that in there so that they are clear that you approve this, you're benefiting, I mean, that's the
But-
definition of a betterment.
But right there, I mean, she's saying this would impact what, 400 properties, is it, or 400 property owners?
I think
So,
it was
mean, those-
400. Yeah,
Those
I think it's
means
around
400 people that would be impacted by the betterment, but I don't think that that would be enough to. I mean, I guess maybe sway the vote, but like, you would
I
think
think-
that they're, yeah.
I think it
But if
might
I-
be that some people jump on the bandwagon as a fundamental concern about betterments being utilized for anything, future projects
So
that
other
may
people that might
impact
Right,
have
even
them.
like
projects in the future.
Once
that
we
would-
start using betterments, people
Yeah,
But people do want to do that for customer
That's-
resiliency, as you're saying.
yeah,
People didn't understand.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
it seems to logically make a lot of sense if you're.
It's the same thing for Baxter Road, that.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't force the taxpayers as a whole to take responsibility.
For a subsection of direct benefit.
And that should go for Baxter Road and Essex, you know what I mean? It's just, it's, you can't do one and not the other, it's betterment, but anyway.
I mean, I do,
Why don't we put it in and just say we hope that betterments are considered for this
No,
project
I
going
was
forward?
gonna do what I think Dawn suggested, if I understood correctly, and just note that we felt that a better approach would have been.
Yeah, just say that
Is
we,
that okay, Dawn?
and leave it out of our recommendation.
Right.
Yeah, I think that we should suggest that a better approach would be to include betterments and or capacity utilization fees to soften this override.
See,
or this to soften the debt exclusion, excuse me.
this is the same thing with stormwater. You know, we'd asked, you know, are you guys reviewing options for revenue? And they said, yeah, we've got some ideas, but yet they're proposing projects. Betterments should come first. Figure out how you're gonna like assess betterments
Yeah,
and then propose a project.
yeah. People shut down
Don't
those
do it after the
betterments.
fact.
People shut down those betterments when it came up at a
Well, then the project gets shot down.
town meeting,
I
not
don't
just
just
for
tell you.
Devo, but for like a coastal resiliency project. I remember this was then standing up at town meeting about it. And they were mapping the different areas about how they would apply that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Because it's really.
Okay, let's keep going. I gotta get out of here in 20 minutes. Sorry, guys.
Was the last sewer project real quick that came in way under budget? Wasn't there one that came in like 50% of what we budgeted
Or
for?
we got a grant or something.
Basically, if some of them, they just RVO came in very
Sewer
low.
project or stormwater? What did you say?
I thought it was a sewer project, like the most recent
Yeah,
sewer.
Shimo came in well under what we
Was
had.
it like 35 and it
approved.
came in at like 19 or something?
Yep, exactly.
Dawn, isn't that, I don't remember, but is it that due to the fact that we did a lot of the work internally?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Well,
so.
you know.
I don't remember. Something that we did brought the cost down because DPW did it.
I don't know, Howard. I'd have to find
Okay.
out.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's talk about,
I was gonna, yes, our Allen home.
yep.
I was gonna
let's talk
see
about-
if, like, I'm kind of where I am last year, you know, I'm really the same, but I would love to hear, you know. Unfortunately, I wasn't at your guys' meeting because I was away when you met with town administration, but I'd love to hear what, you know, if Don has. What's sort of the new sort of approaches and the new sort of spiel, if you will, just on it.
Yeah, and if I could just add in on that, Dawn. You're passionate about it and I have nothing but respect for that. And you grew up here and I didn't. And you know a lot of people there and you know the connection it has to the community and, you know, so I don't, you know, why I personally looked at this really through, does it make sense and is it appropriate for project? I know this is just a really unusual project.
Yeah, no,
I don't.
I respect
And I know you
where
do.
she is with it.
And so-
I'm a little
Yeah.
opposite, but you know, in fairness to the committee, I want to just hear what, because I haven't really, as I said, I missed that meeting. And I haven't really heard the new sort of thing.
Yeah,
you
I
will.
think I'm just framing this to say, I think we're all talking about it from a different approach.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean-
not. Yeah,
The way we look at it is we are already in the business. This is something that the town's people have committed to. If we want to stay in the business, we have to build a new facility. This is the
Yeah.
best cost that it's ever going to be. And so the voters' choice is we are going to stay in the business and this is what it's going to take, or we're not going to stay in the business. And I think that we've made that more clear than maybe it was. There was a reluctance on the board's part to make people feel like they were being threatened, because people do really rely on this as a service that is a true necessity when you need it. And until you're in that position, you maybe don't fully understand it. But where we will have the estimates at the end of we will have the final bid at the end of March. That's how we're doing this in the best process possible to have a truly real number, where a lot of these projects we bring forth a bid and then we have to come back for more money later. That would not be the case in this. If anything, we would have some savings because there are things built into this, like a future option to purchase 2 of the houses that at Sherburne Commons, which totals about $5 million, which may or may not ever be exercised. But we have to get the appropriation. We have been in discussions with the land bank on them purchasing a portion of the current East Creek site. That could lower the cost. There is a fundraising effort set up, but they're really holding off until there's an approved project to try and push that forward in a
Well, and
better
also
way.
just to remind everyone too, that I is in the 126, which I assume that this next bid will come somewhere within that. I mean, certainly within 10% up or down.
Do the,
I
do
mean,
the,
that
yeah,
there's
sorry.
that money includes a lot of money that's already been spent.
Correct. Yeah, the 8.5
So-
million in design is
I
in
never
that.
really understand why you all included that in it, because well, that money hasn't been
In the
spent.
overall
Some
cost of the
money, yeah.
project, but it's clear that the borrowing is less than that. And then there's also retained earnings from sewer being utilized because we're repurposing the current housing at Sherburne Commons as part of this. So as part of this project, we're gaining 4 housing units that would be now at the sewer plant and available to sewer employees or other town employees. So there are other aspects of this.
Now, Dawn, you made this a binary decision. Do we want to be in the business or don't we? And I believe there's a middle ground here that you haven't considered. There's a gray area here about how you can provide most of those services in a different way than having it needed to be housed in a brand new building. And that's part of the point here. You cannot cast this as, oh, we're not going to be in the business of providing any of these services because we don't have a new building. That's just not fair.
Howard, I will agree to disagree with you, but that is the reality. We
It
have
really isn't. There's
studied
all
this
kinds of
for
healthcare.
decades.
For $125 million, you can buy a lot of care.
Well, I think what's important,
Not
Dawn,
round
I
the
just-
clock inpatient skilled nursing care.
You
Well,
could
what I
rent the
want-
nurses and
The
have
town's
them.
not going to get into the business.
That's why they shouldn't be in the business.
well, what I wanna ask though, Don, is I think what I keep hearing, this is so obvious, is people wanna do something, they just don't wanna do this. But it does sound like what you all said this year was, this is what we studied, this is what we're gonna do, and this is the plan, and there really isn't a future plan. And I do think that is an important distinction for people to understand, and I still have to understand that, because I'm still like, oh, I wish there was kind of something different, or, I obsess over that skilled nursing license. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I wish we could have something take care of people and not fall under that license, which is costing us so much money, but that's not what's
Right,
in front of
but
me.
that's a
so
different
that's-
It's truly a
Well-
different service. Home healthcare is a different service. Assisted living is a different service.
You're right.
Those are not businesses that the town is in. There's an opportunity. There are some private things that do such a thing. It's not going to replace what the Island Home does, does also provide short-term rehab at a hospital care level.
Right.
Yeah.
Except for the emotional issue here, no other town in the state is in this business. It's not a typical business that municipalities are in. It's very, very expensive on a per bed count. It would be really nice to be able to have it. But we have so many other capital needs that would serve many more people, but for the emotional issue, we should refocus.
Yeah, so the emotional issue, that's a tough one because, I think we all have care. We all would wish it could be done. It's more than this initial amount. Like I'm looking at in perpetuity, the impact that we're causing, like in perpetuity. And you could say, well, in perpetuity, what about the care? I'd have no problem sending this money to like adult daycare,
The $6 million a year, you mean? The money?
Yeah, just it's
The
daunting
money?
to me, that is. And I think something like, for example, last year, we were looking at DPW campus and our Island Home were kind of both. I don't want to say they're pitted against each other, but that's how some people do it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Each one should really run on its own merits. But like I remember talking about it last year, and I remember Brian was on with us and we were talking about it, and he was giving his guidance. When we got to DPW, he said, he almost looked exhausted. He's like, we have to do this. Like, see, so our Island Home is emotional. We don't have to do it. DPW, like, we have to do that. So at some point, that has to get done
In some form.
in some form. And I just as I said, I would push like as much money to elder population. To Howard's point, I just feel very strongly. I'm emotional about not being in the business. I think it is if it served every single elder on Nantucket, everyone's saying, I want to go, I might go in there. Well, you might not. There might not be room, it's just not, it's for everyone that wants it, 5% of that population will get in there. And I just think it's,
I think
I think it's gonna benefit, just, has it been a benefit to the island in the past? Maybe, but it's also been, a diversion, I guess, financially, but
And
I can't get it, I'm disconnected, like say Don and Peter are, as far as community. But I also have been involved in town politics since 2002 to see, it's always been sort of that, you're looking at it like, what's going on here? But, I respect people's thoughts on both sides of it. That's my opinion.
I think it just sounds like, it's an emotional issue because those of us who feel like we're saying, like, I'm not supportive of this particular project. I want to be supportive of something else. I think that's emotional because we all know we kind of agree, right? That we wish there could be something that could be done, but this is a project in front of us. And I do think that you all identifying that this is their chance to vote on that this time and giving them that chance, then we'll know.
I mean, you think about it, some families, very few families will have the advantage of using our island home. And many more families will not have that advantage and they have to make other accommodations. So that sort of to me, it's like it's not perfect. It's not clean because you can't, for that amount of money and every year going out, this group gets gets the low cost of using it and it's local. And then this group does not.
Yeah.
And they have to go off island and they have to,
It's a
make accommodation. Yeah, it's just.
If I can,
In practice, people, oh, sorry.
no,
Caroline.
please.
I'm just saying, in practice, they haven't really had to turn people away. And in the new design, there's even more potential beds.
Yeah, there's a handful of us.
Sorry, Caroline.
I'm thinking an alternative way of looking at this is because we're an island community and we need to, Christy, how were you putting it about housing? What was your term that you were using when you think about it? Was that?
Me or Liza?
Yeah, you, Christy.
Oh, Christy Kick, sorry.
What I say?
Yeah, you when you were talking about housing, you were saying I have to kind of load it.
I know. I think. Are you referring to that? It's the one thing that I accommodate overages.
Yes, overages, and I'm thinking that because housing on Nantucket, whether it's for our municipal employees or our seasonal employees, that we have to do something different with it as a variable as compared to other communities in Massachusetts, and that I think of the Old Island Home as being a variant of housing. It's like, okay, we had to house the people who are year round and who are municipal housing, seasonal employees. And that with that housing comes the fact that those people age out. And then there is other kind of housing that is needed, i.e. a nursing home or a skilled facility. And I talked to Allison Forsgren about this today. I just wanted to clarify my impression that there's a catch-22 that's happening in our community where the voters are waiting for how much philanthropy is going to go into this and vice versa, and it's canceled itself out. And it's also become an exhausted issue for the community, which makes it harder to generate energy around. We are obviously trying to look at it just from the fiscal, perspective of our capital program committee. And I don't think I don't like talking about it as an emotional issue. I don't like that word because I actually think that it's a housing issue and it's just an old age housing issue, and old age people need skilled nursing. And I think it in a sense, for me, I've understood it that it contributes something to our island culture. So I endorse it as a thing. I feel positive about it. Fiscally, Libby said it loud and clear. We cannot afford it unless we have significant, not just little bits, but significant subsidy. And I think that's in the form of big ticket donations. And as I have understood it from talking with the Friends of the Old Island Home today, they can't ask for those until they get more voter support. And they see it as that they're 38 votes away from that. So I just say all of that because I don't like talking about it, and I don't think it's accurate to talk about it as an emotional issue. I see it as a kind of Nantucket variant housing issue.
Thank you. Can I make a comment? Can I suggest something to you, Don, that in our comment, if it doesn't, that we could, we can really just summarize everything that we all just said here with that. Or do you have something particular you would want us to make a comment in the report, or we could just leave it where it was last year and not say anything? That's really
No,
kind of what we need
I
to
think
get
we
to the
should.
bottom of for the report.
No, I think we should try to find some commentary.
It's already written.
I mean, I
Okay.
think, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, just, I wanna be fair,
Right.
make sure Don's points.
Yeah.
Our points are sort of relative. I'm sorry, I haven't read it yet.
So, no, everybody will need to get it.
Yeah, well,
in the next
yeah.
few weeks, but I think the important point that we want to make is that we all appreciate the need for something like this. It's not this solution that makes sense.
For us.
And-
Yeah. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Well, see, I don't think that that's a really fair comment that it's not the solution that makes sense. I think
Oh, I don't think we should say it like
there's
that.
not another local solution. There really
Yeah.
isn't. We have
Yeah.
explored this.
Yeah.
The solution is that when you need this level of care, you either have to pay an exorbitant amount of money to have round the clock nurses in your home, if you can even do that and continue to maintain your home or have a first floor bedroom and all of that, those kind of pieces that go along with it, or you have to leave the island.
You know
So,
what, we're a capital committee though.
right.
We're not a social service committee. So we're just responding
No,
to
she's
the
come
question that's
to
being
me that
asked.
I didn't phrase it the right way, and she's
Yeah,
right.
oh,
Yeah.
we're not in social services, and just like FinCom shouldn't be either. FinCom, it's a financial question that's being asked. It's a capital affordability and appropriateness question that's being asked. It's not the question that is not being asked is
Oh.
morally, should we do this?
Well,
I didn't say that. I said that there's not another local solution.
Yeah, she's saying this is the only solution.
It-
That's a.
On island, on island.
And I would
That's
argue-
correct.
Yeah,
I would argue with that because we haven't explored it and I've seen alternatives and we've seen healthcare people tell us otherwise.
Liza, you have a comment?
Yeah, I feel like I just would like to say that, I mean, I understand that it's not a fiscally sound decision, but I think that it's something that, as a resident of the island, knowing the challenges of living here, it's something that makes sense to have available because it is so incredibly inconvenient whenever anybody has surgery, having to go off island, take the ferry back, and then you add old age onto it. It's like going, I don't know, it's like having to travel off island to see your parents or to have to get any of the healthcare you need or go I don't know. It's something that I think is really valuable to the island. I understand that it's not fiscally responsible. But I mean, I hope that the town does vote for it, but like,
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's.
what can you do?
I
Thanks,
just,
Don.
I don't
Christine,
want to
you asked a
lead the
question, though.
voters into some thought process that there is a local alternative to
Yeah.
skilled nursing care.
No,
I do not think that we.
It is,
I
we
definitely
either
think that-
continue to do this
I agree.
Yeah.
government subsidized, or we don't.
We all
I
agree.
agree
We will
with
not
that.
put
Yeah,
that,
'cause
we
no-
won't put that in the comments, Don, that we want you to look at another idea. The way we're doing that with housing, we're not gonna do that and
But the
we won't
thing-
do that.
But we also know no private entity is gonna come out and do it because it's not responsible.
No, it's
For
not
them to do.
There's no economies of scale.
Yeah. Don
No,
had a question.
correct. You need 100 beds or more to make it a financial winner. You
Don,
also
is
need
there-
to appeal to private pay, which this
Exactly.
would help do, but go ahead.
Don,
Christine.
I got a question.
Yeah.
The, how do you guys, like, as far as historically, like, is there a way to accommodate the price structure for those people that are there to help that we're saying it's such an advantage for people to be here on island. So shouldn't the cost for those beds reflect that? Or are we bound to a cost? Or can we charge a lot more for each bed? Because it is such, if we're presenting it as such a advantage for it to be here,
Yeah.
the town should be able to have a price structure for people that are there that reflect that and should be more. I wanted to ask you if we.
Christy,
if
we
can do
can't-
that.
We can with
Yeah, no.
private pay. We're limited by Medicaid. When people, what generally happens with the island home if somebody's in there for more long term is even if they start out as private pay where they, haven't put all of their assets into a trust or something.
Yeah.
Once they exhaust those assets, they end up on even Medicare pays at a higher reimbursement rate, but that ends and you end up on Medicaid, which is the lowest reimbursement rate. And that's where we get into trouble. We would actually, one of the things that we would benefit with this new facility is by going to a better living standard. We would probably attract more short-term rehab, and that would be covered under like a Medicare or private insurance. And that would be a lot better financially.
So being the only public facility in Massachusetts, we would be bound. We don't have any advantage of, it's all.
We can't say, no, we won't take your health insurance.
And I'm very skeptical on, I don't see who's gonna donate money. I can't add the possibility that someone's gonna donate into my reasoning as I talk about this and vote for it.
And
That
you
will be a
shouldn't, because
benefit
it doesn't
down the
cover the operating anyway.
Yeah.
If
The
you-
performer is gonna come out the end of the month of February. And, while I would be skeptical of what the performer says because of the people that are driving the creation of the performer, there may very well be additional costs that need to be covered through an override. In addition to whatever this number is now, the original $5 million,
Yeah.
6 something.
I think it comes out the end of March,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
so we won't know till.
I think that was the big, that's gonna be.
That should give you a lot more clarity about where it's.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think. Does anyone wanna keep, Dawn, do you have more you wanna say, or anyone else wanna talk about it? I really think we'll probably keep the comment similar to last year, would be my guess. And then we can include what I think you're saying, Dawn, which is, this is the only option. This is the only option that people are gonna get, so. Maybe we can say something along with recognizing that this is the last time this will appear before the voters or something like that. We took a harder look,
Yeah.
an even harder look. but. Something like that, I don't know, we'll come up with some language, we'll have to get back together to go over the report anyway.
Yeah, we would never
And,
issue it if everybody didn't look at it.
no, not at all. So we all need to meet, I think just one more time to review, we'll. Howard and Pete are gonna look at the report, or work on the report with Sue. And then we'll send around a draft and then we'll all meet and review that and hopefully approve it, or if not, whatever edits and comments you wanna make.
Yeah, and I didn't receive any comments of people that could just say, oh, I would like a note on this particular request, and it would be about this. So I do have a list that I've been putting together based on this conversation and
Yeah.
other conversations, but if you got anything that you really
Yeah,
want,
I'm
You may
just getting
not.
back into it. Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You said something, there's something that was sent around.
I did.
Just send something.
Yeah,
Everybody.
Yeah.
all I need is the phrase and the item.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah. I gave you my comments, like for the school,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wrote those down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
that kind of thing, but. We usually like to have a little comment on the debt exclusions at least, I think that we should, or if there was something in there that we didn't put forward, which in this case, the housing, but that's what we did last year too. Something
Yeah.
that we expect to come back and we still were, just not ready for our recommendation this year.
Right, right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other comments
Just
just today?
Real quick on below the standard deviation, so we have sidewalk improvement and cobblestone down there.
Yep.
Were we all comfortable with those after all the conversation, and should we move them up, or do we leave them below just based on the score? I'd be inclined to just move them up and recommend it, because it felt like that's where we landed just based on our conversations with him. I mean, they're within a point of the standard
It's
deviation,
close.
the standard deviation, and I don't.
I'm okay. He only borrows the money if he needs it.
And I personally was comfortable based on all the background that he provided and knowing what he spent, what he has left, and what he's planning on
Yep.
spending.
Yeah,
Going
no,
forward, so
he did provide everything.
It,
towards
and
the
it
end.
seems just inconsistent that we support two of them, but
Yeah.
not the other two,
Yeah.
considering they were
Yep.
so close, and Drew, really did.
Yeah, just because they have
Okay.
sort of a, little negative history with funding and usage.
Yeah, and
We shouldn't roll, it should be still
To me,
standalone
he
this
should get
year.
Replenished. I was surprised it ranked so low.
yeah,
And like the sidewalk improvement, that's all around where like they have been doing construction by the Veranda House and on Center Street. And so I feel like that's pretty important to fix
Yeah,
the
on the map,
sidewalks
that
in that
is-
area.
Yeah.
yeah, I
I mean,
understand.
his map was not, he was not gonna get to all that. That's
No,
not gonna
I
happen. But
understand
at least
it.
we could see where he was gonna.
I can see it's one of those where, based on the criteria and how the request applied to it, that it could rank up, less than a point below the standard deviation, but I do think in reality, and it's stuff that we supported, at least conversationally and everything else.
See, I think if we're gonna be doing this over the next 10 years, I would be even apt to put a huge amount out, have a company from off island come and just do it for like the entire fall and get as much done as possible.
Yeah.
Instead of this piecemeal thing each year, we're gonna do this little section, this little bit.
Yeah,
I
You
know.
know,
we-
just
This isn't a big place.
do it.
Every time they shut down one road, it actually
Right.
creates a problem.
Yeah.
I look at the surf side. I can't drive anywhere. I can't get near my house. I'm not gonna be able to get near my
Going up
house.
Sunset Road, you get redirected.
I can't go Monahasset, I
Direction.
can't, Lovers is a mess and now frozen, and like, I can't.
Right.
I can't get anywhere, it's kind of bad.
I'm not saying do it all at the same time. I'm saying have a crew that
same
just
thing.
keeps moving and
Yeah.
you do this,
Yeah.
what's his plan for the next 4 years and get that done in 1 year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So did you
Yeah.
have a proposal, Pete, about moving things above the line?
I mean,
Just the two for the sidewalks.
That's what I wanted to hear.
it was just a sidewalk and the cobblestone. I don't think we need a formal vote. I think it just. if
Yeah.
it-
Based on recent discussions and,
So will you reissue this then?
And so I
Yeah.
think we had those two, we had the truck replacement.
Tom Nevers.
I have them,
Tom Nevers.
they're up on the
Yeah.
screen. So we are moving to clarify, we're moving up sidewalk and cobblestone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
And
so there
the
are
truck.
4 moving up. And the truck,
And the
yes.
truck for water.
Yep, I
Yes.
just,
So-
it's just the
so
reason.
Howard had that interesting, you had 65% was approved. So it'd be interesting to hear the
65.
percentage for each of these 3
Yeah.
domains.
what do you mean the percentage?
65 million was approved.
You mean the amount of money? Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I,
You know,
No,
but a
he
lot
also
of-
said percentage.
I
She's
think
The way I
percent.
like the way I like to look at the money, you guys, just for me, because this is how the warrant works, is what's going in Article 10, what's new capital spending, which is really more general fund departments. Then there's enterprise capital spending, so, and then there's the debt exclusions.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to break it down, because that's really how it's broken down for the voters in the warrant.
And
So I don't get too worried about seeing $65 million when I know that, 35 of it is from two debt.
And Sue, will you look into the additional hard stand and whether that number could be changed?
Yeah, you might want to find that out, Sue.
Absolutely. I mean, that certainly is the department's decision if they need additional money, and they have not come forward that I know of, but I will check in with them.
I don't-
Also, if the contractor can do what the third stand and all that, I mean,
It's a,
good.
yeah,
asked, but.
I don't remember why they didn't, and I think you could explore it, and maybe they didn't think they could.
It could be grant funding that they're receiving too as well. But I will check. I'll touch base
Yeah,
with you.
could be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
man.
maybe on the column, Sue, you want to do what you're doing now, which is putting in the funding, like the amounts, is that what you're doing?
I'm sorry, you mean,
Yeah, you're putting in the amounts there, and then are you carving out the debt exclusions and the enterprise funds?
I did on here, yes,
Yeah,
but they will
you're
also be
amazing.
part of-
I just saw those two columns. I said, I bet that's what she's doing.
that was what you had asked me to do this morning, so it was the quickest
Yeah,
way
I
to
just
do
hadn't
it.
seen it, so I've only
Yeah.
seen it.
That's great.
Sorry
Thank
about
you.
I
that.
didn't ask her till 9, so Sue, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. And Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I would like to clarify on the cobblestone and sidewalk improvements. Part of what made those rank lower at the time we made the cutoff of when the Rorys had to be done, they weren't fully Roried by everyone. So that also was impacting that score being low.
Oh, okay.
There were
All right, so maybe-
several missing members that had.
It was high scoring people that didn't, finish
Yeah, so there were like 3 or 4, I think, that had enough
hours.
to do those.
Okay,
That's probably why those fell so low.
Oh, good
Yes.
point.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just.
Were there any other ones like that, Sue?
No, it was just those
Well, just wanted to
because,
say when you
Yeah,
did it.
yeah, it's all
Um,
relative.
I'm sorry, Caroline, it was just those because those had been last minute ads, if we recall. You remember we needed to come back to the meeting, so I think
Yeah.
that's why people weren't able to go back to those.
All right, so is everybody good with what we're doing?
Christie, quick question, hook truck for the central fleet that's below the line.
Do we have to have that hook truck?
Is that like a must for them? Cause I know it's a specialty item. Does the one they have now, I'm sure still works, but it's probably in and out of the garage. Could they wait another
Up with
year?
this specialized equipment,
They
I just
also
wanna
said
make
that
sure.
they don't have a backup and that it helps with snow removal, so it's kind of
They're got enough to,
They've got
Keep up
backup
with
from
snow.
other
Yeah.
companies. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so maybe that's part of it too, right now, so.
They asked for
Yeah.
a lot of money. He even said that
Yeah.
he asked for a lot of money because he was trying to get ahead of schedule on some of these purchases, so.
Just wanna make sure nobody had any.
Why don't we have Sue reach out to him before we do the final report, but
And that was the only other one that if they're like, we're screwed without this for these reasons, and the one that we have right now is
yeah.
DOA.
yeah, I mean, it's probably, it's a,
They
Medium
revised the amount on that
priority.
one, didn't they?
Yes,
They revised that down because I told them that you found one online for like $190,000.
That's true. That's true. It's true.
yeah, they
did.
saved 120,000. Their original request, I believe, was
Good
for.
job, Christie.
Yeah, it was 400 and like 30.
Way to go.
Yeah.
So should we put it in?
Well, see, that's why whenever, because they don't add it, all these vehicles, other than an F-150 or 250, like I always look it up to see like,
Yeah.
what are they looking to buy? And I take the
that's
copy and
what-
paste the number in the supporting documents and just like, I wanna look at it, I wanna see what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then sometimes when you do that, it pulls up for sale.
Mhm.
And it just says this, so.
Yeah.
I did that with the school radios, and I think on a per unit basis, they had quoted like 1,800, and then it looked like the same exact ones online were like 850 or something. I was
Yeah.
like, and I never got around to.
Yeah.
Maybe,
It's
but I
that
think it broke that
ridiculous-
too, yeah.
That ridiculous town markup.
Yeah,
public.
the municipal,
Mhm.
But they always ask for a little more than what they need. I mean, they know they gotta give themselves wiggle room because by the time they purchase.
but also these vendors that only sell to municipalities.
there's not
you know,
fixed
you think
bids
they'd
in
be getting
there.
a discount, and they're, you know.
Yeah, I don't care if you make an extra,
Especially a
benefit
volume
on
discount.
markup, but it's egregious.
All right, guys, I'm going to, I gotta go, I gotta be somewhere, I'm sorry, I will send you all some, options for dates, we gotta wait till the guys get a little further along with the report, but hopefully the next 2 weeks. And,
Make a
that good?
motion to adjourn.
Yep.
second,
Second, aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Caroline,
Hi,
Liza,
I
Dawn, Sue, thank you
Aye.
so much.
Okay.
thanks,
Thanks,
Sue.
John.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome, bye, everyone.
bye guys.
Bye.